Well, good morning, good lunchtime, and good afternoon, depending upon what time zone you're in. Welcome to the February edition of the MerlinOne Talk to Our Expert series. I'm your host, David Breslauer, and today we're going to talk about Merlin Mobile. Here's some guidelines for our webinar as usual. I'll repeat these for some of you that have seen them before. We're going to make this short and sweet, less than 30 minutes. I am recording the session, so if you want to view it again or if you want to share it with your colleagues, it will be on the MerlinOne YouTube page probably by this time tomorrow. It is a short presentation. Please feel free to ask your questions in the chat window. That's probably the easiest way for me to see them. And your questions do not need to be related to today's topic, so please feel free to ask your Merlin-related questions in the chat window. Today we're going to talk about Merlin Mobile. It does require Merlin X be installed as your web browser client. For our newer customers, that's what you've got. You're already familiar with it. For some of our older customers, we are in the process of deploying the new web browser for all of our customers, and eventually everybody will have it and we'll all be on the same page, and that would be a great thing. You can access Merlin by using a web browser on your phone or your tablet. We don't care. Merlin X is aware that you are on a mobile platform, and it will size itself accordingly, and you'll see that in a minute. And it's streamlined to be mobile friendly. So it's a streamlined interface. It's not 100% compatible or 100% matching the functionality of the normal desktop browser, but it has most of the functionality that you would like in a mobile platform, and we're expecting to see some new functionality in the next release later in 2017. So without further ado, let me open my web browser. And what I've done here is, even though I'm on my Macintosh, I've told my web browser to emulate a mobile platform so it thinks it's an iPhone. So you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to, how it's going to look like on your iPhone or on your tablet. You'll get a great idea of that without me having to actually share my iPhone or tablet, which gets a little complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Notice you'll know right away that you're at a different login screen because it looks different than the traditional Merlin X web browser content. You might recall the normal login to Merlin has 4 pictures that appear on the screen and a text message that appears. This is very, very streamlined. You just enter your username, your password, click log in, and off you go. And you can see I've got the little indicator here, meaning that it's doing something. And just like the normal Merlin client, the Merlin web browser client, when it logs you in, it logs you into the most recent content. I have a lot of content up on the screen, and I'm able to scroll it. Okay, so I can just scroll down and down and down and down and down. Okay, I'm also able to just click an item. If I see an item I'm interested, a single mouse click makes it full size. And from here, when I wiggle my mouse down here at the bottom of the screen, I get the arrow controls, so I can go forwards to the next picture or backwards to the previous picture. Okay, so it's very intuitive, it's very streamlined. Okay, searching is easy to do in the, so let's go back to our main gallery view. So I'm just going to click the back arrow. And notice in the upper right-hand corner, I've got 2 buttons. I've got a search button and I've got a select button. We're going to come to the select button in a second. But first, let's talk about searching. This is a simple search interface. Clicking this button allows me to type in 1 or 2 terms, or even include the Boolean operators like you might in the Rich client or in the other Merlin browser client that you use. And or not, near, at least. You can use all of those. You can use quote marks. You can use wildcard characters, just like you would before. This is my simple search interface. I also have an advanced search interface that I can access by clicking my menu in the upper left-hand corner, and I can click on search. And notice this looks a little bit more like the search interface you're familiar with. I can choose to search for photos. I can choose to search for video. I can choose to search for other content. And if you are a text-enabled site, primarily a newspaper or publishing company, I can choose to search for text, and I can put my search terms in here, but I can also use the plus button in the upper right-hand corner to add additional search terms. And I can add as many search terms as I want. So for example, I could search for my byline, and I could add something else to the search. Maybe I'd like to add the star ratings. So I'm going to say is greater than or equal to 4 stars and my name in the byline field. Okay, and I can choose to click try just like I can in the other Merlin clients, or I can just, and it will give you a count, or I can click search and it's going to run the search. And so here I am. It found all of these items that are marked as 4 stars or greater and that have my name in the byline field. Okay, so these are my search results. So that's pretty cool. Now that I've found what I'm looking for, perhaps I'd like to do something with these. Maybe I'd like to add some of these to a collection. So I can use my selection tool, and now I can go through and say, yes, I'd like this one, and yes, I'd like this one, and yes, I'd like this one, and I can say done. And Merlin remembers that these 3 items have been selected. I can go back to my menu. I can choose collections. Just like the other Merlin clients, I've got shared and I've got private, and we're going to select shared. And I've got collection folders and I've got collections themselves. And so we're going to go into my featured content collection, and we're going to choose demo items and just click the plus button. And now I've added those items to that collection. And if I want to view the collection from here, all I have to do is click the little arrow in the right-hand side, and it's going to open that collection, and here you can see the 3 items that I added to that collection. So that's a little bit about collections, and that's how easy it is to add contents to collections. You can also, this is probably one of the most useful features of the browser client, is I can upload content into Merlin. So you've got a reporter that's out on an assignment somewhere and something has happened and you don't have a photographer that you can dispatch. The reporter can shoot pictures using their phone or their tablet, and then they can go to the upload form and they can click the plus button, and it will allow you to navigate directly to the photo library on your computer. Now, in my case, it's not going to navigate to the photo library on my computer. It's going to navigate to the content I have on my computer, and I'm just going to pick this one document and click choose just to get something in here. And now my next step, it's forcing me to at least pass by the edit metadata screen. So I'm going to click add metadata. And I have all of these metadata fields here. And again, this is configurable. These fields may be hidden from view. And I can choose to create mandatory fields. You notice that my provider field and group field are red. So if I try and upload this item, I'm going to get an error message that I have to fill something in from that field. And so I'm going to go to the provider field, and I'm going to add the value other. And in the group field, I'm going to add the value marketing. And now when I click upload, it's going to go through the process and upload that item, and it will show up in my collection of assets in a minute, in a few seconds actually. So it's that easy, it's that simple, and what's really nice is if you're on a tablet, it will size itself accordingly. So here, let me go here and we'll just click on assets to get back to our default home screen. Maybe we'll do it this way. And so if I resize my browser for, maybe I'm working on an iPad or some sort of other tablet, you know, it's sizing itself accordingly, and I'm getting more assets on the screen at a single time. So that's a little bit about using the Merlin mobile platform. Again, any browser, any tablet or iPhone or iPhone, so we really don't care. We're hardware agnostic. You just need to launch a browser on that device, and Merlin will know that you're on a mobile platform and will work accordingly. Things to look forward to in the next version: we will be able to download directly from Merlin into your local photo library, and you will also be able to export directly to other places. So you'd be able to email a link to somebody else, and you'd even be able to post directly to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube from the Merlin library rather than your phone's library. So this has been an especially short one, and it's efficient. So I've got lots of time to take all sorts of questions if you've got them. So feel free to either type them in to the chat window or go ahead. I've unmuted. Feel free to unmute and ask me your questions. Well,
hey,
okay,
David.
then. I'm glad yes.
This is Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, I was wondering, can you see the caption and other metadata on these?
You can. So you'd be able to click the item and click the I button down here at the bottom, and it's going to pull up all of the metadata associated with that item. Thanks for asking that. I left it out, but here's your answer. So you have to be in the single view as I am right now. Okay, so let's pick this particular item. You need to be in the single view and click the little I icon at the bottom.
Perfect.
Okay. And all of your metadata appears here.
That's great.
Thanks for asking that. I'd left that out. Questions from anybody else?
And how
okay,
how soon? David?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. When you mention the features coming up, do you have a timeline on when?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's a great question, Denny. Unfortunately, I don't have a timeline at this point. I'm hoping probably before the first half of this year. So we're already 2 months into the year, so I'm looking forward to seeing it before the middle of the year.